Keyshawn Davis versus Nahir Albright, 10 rounds in the 135-pound division. These two men have been going back and forth a little bit, and I think it's going to be a good fight. Let's get into it. Let's start with the businessman, Keyshawn Davis. 9 wins, no losses, 6 wins by way of knockout. We've covered Keyshawn Davis a few times on the channel already, going back to when he fought Esteban Sanchez. I think that was the first fight, if I remember correctly, that we covered of Keyshawn Davis, where he stopped him in the 6th round. After that, he fought Omar Tienda, which I was at that fight live. Actually, that was the day before my wedding. So, I slid to the fight with the fellas and then slid down the aisle the next morning. So it was a very good fight, but I got to see the speed in person of how really quick Keyshawn Davis really was inside of the ring. After Tienda, he faces Juan Burgos. And I mean, he beat him up pretty good. Then after that, he fights Anthony Yiggett, stops Anthony Yiggett in 8 rounds, beat up Anthony Yiggett very good as well, too. Each fight, the matchmaking has gotten better and better, and so has the rounds. This is his 3rd fight in a 10-round fight. I mean, Davis isn't shy about what he wants to do and what his plan is, right? He wants to fight for titles, and he kind of wants to do it now. He's on that fast track, so to speak, as they like to say. Offensively, there's not much that Keyshawn Davis can't do. I mean, he's got every shot in the bag, and he can execute and land almost any shot that there is with accuracy, right? He's got a great foundation, very solid technique. He moves very well in the ring. His footwork is smooth. And when you watch Keyshawn Davis fight, man, it's effortless. He's got a mean streak to him too, right? Like, the man has a switch. Fight night, he's just a different cat. He's trying and looking to take you out. I mean, he punished Anthony Yiggett with some shots that I was surprised that Yiggett got back up from. In his last fight, he fought Francisco Patera, an experienced boxer from Belgium. He's not a big puncher, but he can box a little bit. And I liked what Keyshawn did from a defensive standpoint that fight. We know about the offense. We know about the skill set and what he possesses in his bag. But from a defensive standpoint, man, he's really continuing to improve. And I think from the defensive standpoint, this might have been his best showcasing. When we're talking about hitting and not getting hit, when we're talking about slipping shots, when we're talking about countering with effectiveness, the shot that dropped Patera was a defensive movement first, and then it turned offensive. Patera put that right hand forward. Keyshawn Davis shoulder rolled that and came back with the right hand and dropped him. It was a beautiful sequence that dropped Patera, but it all started with the defense of Keyshawn Davis. I thought it took him a while to get going, though, from an offensive standpoint. Took him a few rounds to get into his groove, to really let his hands go. But once he got comfortable and found that groove, man, it was over with early in that fight, and it was not hard to see. Once he gets going, gets confident, it's tough to knock off his rhythm and his momentum. He's very skilled, very talented. There's no doubt about that. You can't deny that, unless you're a hater, you know what I'm saying? But you can't deny, when you turn on the tape, how good this young man can be and is in this moment, right? He has all the makings to be a future champ down the road. I think he's that good, skill for skill. I think he is that guy. It'll be interesting to see what he can do on fight night, right? Because as he's at the stage now where he's moving past that contender aspect of it, so the matchmaking and the competition is going to get higher and higher and higher. So we are going to see if he is who he says he is. Right now, I believe that he is skill for skill. As I said, you can't deny that. The other interesting part for me in this fight is, I don't know. I'm anticipating Bomac is not going to be in his corner for this fight. So you wonder how much that will play. Obviously, Bomac isn't his only coach, but there was something to say about the familiarity of having your guys in your corner, all of them, not just one of them, but all of them. And Bomac, I know, is a big, big part to their team. And so we'll see if that changes anything or it doesn't, but we'll see how it goes. Let's talk about his opponent, Nahir Albright. 16 wins, 2 losses, 7 wins by way of knockout. He lost his first fight of his career, won a whole bunch of fights during that time on the bounce back trail, including a win against Jeremy Hill, who was 15-1 at that time. His other loss came from when he fought Jermaine Ortiz, but he's on a 2-fight win streak coming into this fight. So, the confidence is there. His trainer is talking heavy and he's backing it up. So, that's what you want to see from your fighter. You want to see that your fighter isn't going to back down from anybody, regardless of who you're facing. Got to show me on that night that you can beat me. And Albright right now doesn't believe that Keyshawn is going to beat him, and that's good. That's the confidence you need going into the fight. Now, let's go back to when he fought Jermaine Ortiz. I think Albright has nice size to him. I think he's athletic. I think he can move. I think he has a nice snappy jab, and he can box as well. He's got good pop in his shots. But in that fight, I was waiting for it, but I didn't see it. He didn't disguise his attacks very well in that fight. He didn't mix up his attacks. I didn't see too many feints. I didn't really see level changes. He got kind of robotic and kind of predictable. You can kind of see his shots from afar, right? He would throw a jab and follow with the right hand. Everything was kind of a 1-2 type of sequence. And Jermaine Ortiz was like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. And he would throw punches in combinations, 4-piece punches at a time. And Albright didn't have time to really set up and get himself back right because of what was coming back at him. The speed of Ortiz was a problem that night. Ortiz kept him on the back foot for the first 4 to 5 rounds. But then going into the 6th to 7th round, Albright was the one who had Ortiz fighting off of the back foot. He was the one pushing the pace and letting his hands go a little bit, but not enough. He didn't take enough risks to me. I also thought Ortiz kind of gassed out a little bit, which is why Albright was able to seize that forefront. And I'm glad that he did that, but he didn't do enough to let the momentum, to steal the momentum for too long, right? He didn't let his hands go enough, and I think that costed him. He's going to need to take that risk against Keyshawn. You can't fight a safe fight and expect to beat Keyshawn as highly skilled as he is. So he's going to need to take that risk. And you can't just come in throwing 1-2 punches at a time. Like, you can't be doing that. That's not enough volume to beat Keyshawn. And he's going to find ways to find a different opening and make you pay for not throwing enough. Like I said, he's got good pop on his shots, but I don't think it's enough steam to really back Keyshawn up for too long. So he's definitely going to need to be more strategic with how he approaches it from an offensive standpoint. And he's got to put some combinations forward, man. You can't be just shooting 1-2 shots. That's not going to do too much. Now, in his last fight, he fought Carlos Balderas. And, he looks similar in some ways, but different in some ways. So that Jermaine Ortiz fight, he was going to the body a lot more early on in the fight, and that was good. Whether it was a jab to the head, then he would strike the body. Whether it was a hook to the body or combinations to the body, he was attacking the body a lot more. However, Balderas was clipping him with that left hook early. Albright took it on the chin and he ate it, but he backed up and played it safe. He got out of danger when he felt like he was in danger, and that's something he is going to need to do. Bring awareness inside of the ring, man. You got to know when to tie up. You got to know when to back away. That in itself is something that you can only gain with experience. You got to fight the whole fight in its entirety. But I thought that Albright was making good adjustments against Balderas, right? He was fighting against a guy who was a bigger puncher than him. And you could see that when he did get hit, he didn't want to engage, and that's good. When you get hit and you get rocked back right away, man, you don't need to go back into the fire right away. You need to step back and regroup yourself and reset. And Albright has the knowledge and the discipline to do just that. When he is on the inside, that's when he kind of loses momentum. But when he's fighting on that mid-distance range where he can let off the jab and slip and move, that's when he does have success. So he's going to have to pick and choose when to be aggressive, but when to dial it back a little bit and make sure you're not doing too much to get yourself in trouble. There was a few times in that fight where Albright was hurt, but every time that he was hurt, he found a way to get himself out of trouble and out of danger. He did end up getting the win that fight by mixed decision in his last fight, but I thought he did some really good things in that fight, man. He got off to a really good start and built up a comfortable lead. Whenever Balderas would respond, I thought he responded accordingly. Balderas was the more eye-catching shot, the flashier guy, but Albright was more consistent and had a little bit more volume throughout this fight, man. So he can fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this one unfolds. So who wins? I think it's going to be a closer fight than many might think. Albright seems motivated, determined, wants to make a statement. He went in as the underdog before in a few of his fights and upset the favorite. So he's going to be thinking to myself, man, this is no different. Just another fight. I'm going in as the underdog and I'm going to come out on top. That's great. You got to have that mindset. But here's the thing for me. I'm not sure he has enough in his bag offensively to keep up with what Keyshawn can do. 1-2 punches at a time is just not going to cut it. Right. And he's also not the best defensive fighter. And I think Keyshawn is a little bit quicker than him as well, too. But if he can get off to a good start, man, and just keep moving and engage and disengage at the right calculated time and let his hands go, I think he will be able to disrupt Keyshawn and slow him down a little bit. But if he lets Keyshawn get comfortable and he doesn't have a way of pushing Keyshawn back, it's going to be a long night for him, and he's going to be put into some positions that he does not want to be in, and it could be curtains for him. And so he got to be careful in that aspect, man. So, but for me, I think Keyshawn Davis wins this fight, and I think it goes to the full cards, and I think he wins a decision victory. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're enjoying the content, enjoying the video, is getting something from it, then I hope that you consider supporting in 2 different ways. Like, subscribe, share it with a friend, comment, engage with the community. The other way is by way of donation. Consider becoming a member. We got 2 different options, 2 different tiers. If you'd like to support by donation as well, too, we have options on screen as well. Cash App, PayPal, any amount goes towards the growth of this channel. For those who have given, for those who have shared, for those who have showed love, I appreciate each of you. Your generosity means more than you know. You know, it's always love and respect on the channel. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video, this time, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.